Hey, Chris, why should tech executives invest time in building their personal brand on LinkedIn rather than leaving all of their messaging to corporate marketing?
Good question. So basically, personal brands have become the most sellable, powerful form of marketing today. Gone are the days where it was just hide behind a company. And just because you're in a particular niche or sector doesn't mean that you should have a personal brand. It's not about being a TikTok influencer or anything like that. A personal brand allows you to familiarize yourself with your audience to familiarize yourself with themselves with you so that then they can connect with you on a better scale.
That's fascinating how you're able to achieve that on a one-to-one basis via social media. But I'm really interested in hearing your opinion. A lot of leaders really worry about not being polished enough to post online. What's your perspective on imperfection and authenticity when it comes to LinkedIn?
To be honest, when it comes to a personal brand and on LinkedIn and all of that, imperfection is actually encouraged. Now, there is a scale, right? You don't want it to be too polished and perfect, right? The reason why is not because it doesn't have a place, it does. And there are, there is something to say with that professionalism, but to be honest, you don't want it to be too imperfect as well. You don't want it to be like running around or your camera shaking or you're off balance or all that, none of that. But that middle ground is actually more authentic or received and perceived as more authentic. So if your worry is, I can't put my personal brand in there because I'm not polished, that should not be an excuse because that slight imperfection is what people love because there's a sense of trust around it.
Now, you're advising these executives day in and day out. And for those who haven't shown up online before, what would be a first step that you would advise them on to think about their own thought leadership for LinkedIn?
Sure. The best thought leadership is the stuff that only you know and can answer. In a world of AI and Google and everything is at everyone's fingertips today, what makes you stand out is usually your niche, your opinion, your reviews, something about you. The reason why is, let's break down the word or the phrase key opinion leadership, which means that they are looking for your opinion and they're looking for a leader to look to. People today look to authoritative figures in order to make decisions. So having a personal brand where you can give your authority and show your expertise and your acumen around what you do gets people to go, wow, he or she or that they are really interesting and I want to know more about what they do. And that's why they follow you.
Now, I think one of the biggest pushbacks we hear about is that executives are too time poor. How do you help them realistically maintain a strong LinkedIn presence without it becoming too demanding on their time?
This is a great question because essentially, to a limit, the more frequently you show up, the better, right? Like I speak to a lot of LinkedIn people and they say showing up is the majority of the battle, right? So what I suggest for people that go, I'm time poor, which is everybody, right? Is my suggestion is to make sure that you pick your moments, right? And think about your personal brand. Your personal brand is a patchwork of what people see. So when you do a whole bunch of posts, all of that perception works together to form what they see you as. So what I do and how I would suggest everyone listening to do is pick your moments that contribute to the persona and the personal brand that you want them to see. For instance, I will go and speak at a conference and I'll take photos there and do videos and I'll put that out, right? Then I'll do, say, a one-to-one like this and I'll put that out. So what I suggest is you don't have to be an always on. You don't have to sit there and go click record. Oh, Chris said I've got a click recorder. But what I do is I think on my day today or this week, what moments can be a good social media proof point or good personal branding. And what you do is when you actually look at it that way, you'll realize that if you go on Monday, I'm here, it's one click of a photo, done. Right? Then you might say, Wednesday, I'm at this conference, one click. Then Thursday, oh, we're doing a team workshop, one photo, right? Or one video. When you break it down like that, being time poor is not an excuse because you realize that it just fits into your schedule.
That's such a good viewpoint of just building it into your day to day. Now, if we're thinking about using LinkedIn and showing up regularly, to what degree does storytelling play a part of that?
Mm.
Are we talking about just pushing out information, or are narratives and storytelling something different?
Yeah. So psychologically, stories hit home harder with humans, right? So stories are good, but there's always a caveat. It doesn't mean that, we've all seen on LinkedIn, those long winded stories that go on and on and on and on. You have to make sure that there's a balance. The best storytelling starts with a hook, right? Something that is going to interest your audience, right? So when you think about your personal brand, who are your audience that you want to receive? What's going to interest them? Then you tell a story with a hook, a little bit of an insight, give them enough information, and then some sort of call to action like, I'd like you to know more, or if you want to see this, or all of that. And that's the way that you get the most traction with a story. So don't go into long-winded, really crazy things. And also, don't tell stories for story's sake. I see this on LinkedIn all the time. They go, oh, this happened to me 20 years ago. And then you go, oh, cool. You start reading, and then you realize that it was like, okay, cool, FYI. Right. And it's not, we've got to be really careful with this. Personal branding is a marketing, a sales, and a customer service exercise. So it's not just going, oh, when I was this age, this happened. Right. What it is, for example, it might say, you might wonder how I got here today. Right. Good hook. And you might say, it was actually a quirk of fate where a boss saw an opportunity in me. A quick story. Then you might say, today I exercised that same opportunity scan in my own team, and I give people this opportunity, that's a good story. Whereas if you just say something like, I remember when a colleague reported me for something, or, and you go, that's the hook, and then it goes nowhere, right? People will go, oh, guy's not that, she's not a very good story. Like, make sure that it has a point and it's relevant to your audience.
Point becomes intentional messaging.
Yeah, because we see it all the time. Like, I'm sure if you scroll through, you'd see it and be like, and I know people do this. They go, oh, this flower reminds me of the, and you read it. And what happens is, right, you might not think that it's doing much damage, but it does, right? Because what happens is people go, I don't enjoy, it's just a human thing. I don't enjoy these stories. It's nothing personal. They might just go, I'm going to unfollow, or I'm not going to, I don't find them interesting, right? And you can't please everyone. I get that. But what I'm saying is, if you're just telling stories because someone told you to tell stories and you're like, what do I tell today? And it doesn't go anywhere. There's no point. And they're interested in things that they're interested in. So your story, I always say it's like two concentric circles. You've got your story and what people are interested in. That overlap of those two circles is where you need to be telling those stories. It's something that is interesting to people, that gives them a point that they care about.
That's good insight. As we're thinking about leaders getting started, what's a mistake that you would advise them to steer clear of as they're approaching LinkedIn?
So mistakes when it comes to personal branding on LinkedIn are exactly what you'd expect. Inauthenticity, right? And so what I mean by that is using AI there's no problem in using AI, but if you use AI raw and you just post it, you're doing it wrong. And the reason why is because you don't want people, you get one chance. If people start to go, this is not real, or this doesn't sound right, they will then stop following you. And it's just because there's so much choice on LinkedIn. There's so many people there that they don't have to follow you. So what I'm saying is, I've seen posts where a person has been in business for 2 years and they posted my 5 insights from the first 5 years of business. And they've just got it from ChatGPT. They basically said, ChatGPT, come up with 5 insights that you would expect someone from 5 years, and they posted it, right? And they've thought, well, this will be great because I can just say I've been in business for longer than I thought. But most people then go to your website, they learn more about you because they're intrigued, and they find that it's not real. And that's when you get a problem. So what I'm saying is, please, please, please make it authentic. What does Dr. Seuss say? There's no one youer than you. Right? So you don't need to make up something. Most people find you interesting if you have something that's relevant. So don't make up things. Don't use AI to fabricate things, because you don't stay unseen for long, right? And people find out, and it's not that they get angry, that it's more like they just go, oh, that's weird, and they just tune out, right? That's the nature of people today, short attention spans. So keep their attention with relevance and make sure that it's authentic. Don't make that mistake.
Well, advice. Thank you so much.